Talk to me about Turning Point.
So there are a lot of folks now that seem to me to be interested in trying to hijack Turning Point USA.
Erica Kirk is obviously dealing with hell on earth. I can't even imagine. Yeah. Does she need to come out and clarify Charlie's position when it comes to Israel, just because it has been weaponized to the extent that it could do serious damage to the organization he started?
Grace and peace, everybody. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. Let's go ahead and get at it. Josh Hammer, clarifying, talking about TPUSA. Let's hear what he has to say. I want to give him some room to tease it out. So with no further ado, let's bring it in. Let's go.
Talk to me about Turning Point. As an organization, it is so important. Yeah. But without Charlie, who was the biggest main part of that, are you worried that there is risk that it won't survive, particularly with so many different people coming at it now, the likes of Candace, and you've been a victim of her crazy as well, but she is really going for them hard. Will people suddenly become confused about who it is they are and what it is they stand for? Is there a risk that it falls apart without Charlie?
There's always a risk. I mean, every time you have an organization that is intimately affiliated with an individual and that individual is no longer there, there's certainly always a risk. I think Turning Point to this point, Aaron, is probably too big to fail, or at least too big to fail in the short to midterm. The amount of chapters that they've started after Charlie's death, they've started tens and tens of thousands of new chapters on college and high school campuses. I mean, literally, I forgot the exact numbers, but prior to Charlie's horrific assassination, I think the total number of Turning Point USA chapters was, I think, 2,000 or less, 3,000 less, something like that. The number now is literally like 50 to 60,000. So there's been a shocking expansion, a shocking interest here. And they've had a lot of donations coming in as well. So in the short to midterm, I think they're going to be A-OK, completely fine. In the mid to long term, any organization...
I do want to add to that. I agree. I think, hey, if people are well-meaning and want to carry on the vision of embracing and engaging with the culture and having these discussions on college campuses and such like that, I do think that they have a long runway ahead of them. They have a bright future ahead of them. However, let's go ahead and talk about the long term.
Can only sustain itself, especially as a not-for-profit, if you have a set of principles that you are dedicated towards pursuing. So there are a lot of folks now that seem to me to be interested in trying to hijack Turning Point USA and to alter the principles that Charlie Kirk founded it on. And a lot of this kind of post-Charlie Kirk assassination discussion is actually really getting at this. A lot of it is divide MAGA, a lot of it is just pure gutter anti-Semitism, but part of it is a deliberate attempt to try to turn this extraordinarily powerful vehicle in American politics in a very different direction than what it had been there. And it is incredibly important that those forces not win. That's actually part of the reason why I've been so outspoken over the past month, give or take, about Charlie, about his legacy, about my friendship with him, pushing back on the crazies, and people have said that he was turning on Israel. Then Candace said there was an intervention at this retreat in the Hamptons. I was at that retreat. It didn't happen. Obviously, the latest insanity from Candace this past week about, I can't even say it, my alleged complicity in the murder. So, the reason I've been so outspoken is not just on a personal level, because it is imperative that Turning Point USA stay the course and stay.
Let me jump in. I think Josh would be well served to not always talk about Israel, the Jews, anti-Semitism, Candace. I think if he really cares about Turning Point, he should also talk about some of the other things that Turning Point also talked about that have nothing to do with them whatsoever. The culture, men and women marrying and building families, having a strong nuclear family. Like, talk about that as well. Now, of course, because he's been intimately attacked in these areas, he does talk about those. But hey, you know what? I've been attacked, sure. But you know what else is under attack? The family. You know what else is under attack? Nuclear family. And God's design for a man and a woman to marry and procreate and build a legacy through their children. Yeah, that's been under attack too. So let's talk about that, because that's what Turning Point is about. And they want these young men and women to see the value and the blessedness of having a family. I think Josh would be well to speak on other things besides just the normal thing that he's been talking about. That would be my only pushback for him.
True to what its founder, Charlie Kirk, wanted there. So, I don't have all the answers. I don't exactly know what Turning Point USA will look like in 5 years. They're more than fine, A-OK in the short term. In the mid to long term, I think that their success will be defined by their willingness and their ability to stay true to their founder's vision.
Erica, Kirk is obviously dealing with hell on earth. I can't even imagine. Yeah. Does she need to come out and clarify Charlie's position when it comes to Israel, just because it has been weaponized to the extent that it could do serious damage to the organization he started?
Okay, before he jumps in, I'm going to say the same thing. I don't think Erica Kirk should say anything at all, because I think she just needs to be a silent CEO, working hard behind the scenes, stay out of the fray, because anything she says to defend Charlie, anything she says to clarify is only going to get taken out of pocket already. So just stay out of it. You have spokespersons that have been given the permission to speak on behalf of Turning Point. Let them do what they need to do. They need to speak on behalf of it. Let it go. And you just stay the widow that's working hard on your husband's vision in the background. You don't need to be in front of a camera. You don't need to be behind a microphone. That's my 2 cents. Also, with that, the amount of spokespersons that they have, they're more than capable of doing that and not bringing Erica in or dragging Erica in as another face, or dare I say, putting a target on her. She says something wrong. She says something different. She says something conflicting, whatever like that. Why does she not cry? Why does her eyelashes do this? Why does there's just going to be more drama and confusion if Erica speaks. But that's just my opinion. Let's go.
I don't think it's my role to say that Erica Kirk should do or should not do anything at this moment, right? This is a woman who just lost the love of her life. She is a grieving widow, 2 young children. I believe it's a matter of public record that her mother is also in ailing health. So she's got a lot going on, to put it mildly. And I don't think it's helpful for me to say that she should do something. I do think it would be helpful. I will say that I think it would be helpful if Erica and or Turning Point as an organization released some sort of statement saying that Candace Owens has no idea what she's talking about, that Josh Hammer was not involved, that Turning Point was not involved, that Turning Point, it was not an inside job, that my friend Andrew Colvin, the executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, who's been the main host of the show since Charlie was killed, Andrew's name has been implicated as well by Candace and others there. So it would be helpful if some sort of statement were to come out, whether it's from Erica or from Turning Point or from someone else there. But ultimately, the proof will be in the pudding. And ultimately, we will find out sooner rather than later the extent to which Turning Point USA continues in Charlie's footsteps versus goes down some other path. I think it's going to be okay, but admittedly, there are a lot of forces, some very powerful ones, including some folks within, some wolves in the hen house, such as Tucker Carlson, who are very much trying to kind of take this in an unfortunate direction.
I agree with him there. All I'm going to say is, by Turning Point USA validating Candace by answering her questions or answering her wild claims, you only validate them and you only give her veracity. Or if you address 2 of the claims, but you don't address the third, or you don't really demonstratively say emphatically we did not do it, which is crazy that you have to do that. If you don't say with enough veracity, they're going to take it and say, oh, well, see, they're lying, they're complicit. I don't think Turning Point they should totally ignore her. You're too big to punch down. Don't punch down. And Candace at the moment wants you to punch down a whole lot, stoop down to her level. And I don't think they need to do it. But let me know what you think. Do you believe that Turning Point should address these issues head on? Do you think Erica Kirk should jump out there head on? Down in the comments below, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll keep that conversation going, and we're going to jump down there and do it real soon. Everybody, thank you so much. And until next time, grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Witt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment, because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.